Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state. And the contrast between how the ruling elite and the millions living in abject poverty is becoming a really sore point. Here is President Emerson Mnangagwa showing off his latest fleet of presidential motorcade. So, in other words, he is changing the motorcade to suit every occasion. Today we see him in this motorcade, tomorrow you see him in another completely new fleet. This is one of his latest.
Attack my Japanese, tiri very tender fan katis, madade abachambo unkwanise, sakabanum.
Impressive, really impressive. And yet, millions of ordinary Zimbabweans are living in abject poverty. Here is a classroom in rural Zimbabwe. This is the 21st century. That is a classroom. And those children are expected to compete in today's world. They absolutely have no chance. Why? Even the donor community, who have played a key role in Zimbabwe's education system, are beginning to give up. How can they be expected to donate millions of dollars to buy basic needs for Zimbabwe students? And yet, the government itself is spending a fortune on luxuries. It really doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. The people of Zimbabwe have got to wake up to the reality that Mnangagwa is living it. He is changing his presidential fleet as if he's changing a tie or a hat. And what is more, he is hell-bent on staying in power beyond 2028. It is not as if he won the 2023 elections. Those elections were rigged. SADC and the AU election observers condemned those elections as flawed. So the man is already in power and is there illegally. He's illegitimate. He came into office in 2017 through a military coup. There was nothing legal about that. Then he went on to rig the 2018 elections. And then rigged the 2023 elections. And still he's not content. He wants to extend his stay in office. This time, supposedly, to 2030. Because he says he is the only one suitable to deliver Vision 2030. And Vision 2030 is the country becoming an upper middle income nation with a GDP per capita of 6,000 US dollars. At the present moment, we are on 2,000. Ever since he got into power in 2017, nothing has changed. The economy has not shown any signs of recovery. If anything at all, the economic meltdown has continued. So he has been in power for 8 years. And there's got nothing to show for it. And yet he claims he's going to turn around the economy so that the GDP per capita is increased threefold in the next 5 years. Only a fool will believe that. He is just determined to stay in power no matter what. He rigged the 2018 elections and rigged the 2023 elections. It is going to amend the constitution, which will require a referendum. Needless to say, he will hold the referendum without even implementing even one token reform. I think one does not have to be a genius to know that he's not going to implement any meaningful democratic reforms to make sure that the referendum is free, fair, and credible. In short, he's going to rig the referendum, just as he has rigged the 2023 elections and 2018 elections before it. Zimbabwe is stuck in a serious political mess. We need to end this case of rigged elections and bad governance. And the only sure way of doing it is by making sure we understand what is going on. Ignorance has been our worst case in Zimbabwe. People have been participating in flawed elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed, knowing fully well that ZANU-PF was rigging the elections. And yet, they've continued participating. This has not helped the country at all. We need to wake up to the reality that the political system in Zimbabwe is flawed. And that as long as ZANU-PF is able to rig the elections, nothing will change. In 2023, Nelson Chamisa conned the people to participate in those flawed elections by telling them that he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. The people were warned repeatedly that if you participate in flawed elections, you will only give ZANU-PF legitimacy. The people didn't believe it, and they've paid dearly for it. I think it is high time the people of Zimbabwe wake up to that reality and stop this madness of rigged elections. The referendum, when it comes round, like I said, Mnangagwa will amend the constitution to allow him to stay beyond 2028. But he will have to have that approved in a referendum. And the only way he can get that approved is by rigging the referendum. But as long as people participate in that referendum, they give the process legitimacy, just as they did with the 2023 elections. So the solution is really simple enough. If SADC and the AU condemned the 2023 elections, which they did, it makes no sense at all for Zimbabweans to participate in the referendum when nothing has changed on the ground to make sure that that process is free, fair, and credible. I think the people would not participate in those flawed elections if it was not for the opposition. There is no doubt that the opposition will assure the nation that they will win the referendum and the people should participate. They will claim that they've got ways of making sure that ZANU-PF does not rig the referendum. But as usual, they'll be the first one to complain that the process was rigged. We've been complaining about rigged elections, and yet we've been foolish enough to be conned into believing we can win rigged elections. We need to wake up to that reality. Mnangagwa is determined to stay in power and is willing to bribe and buy votes, to whatever it is it would take to stay in power. Our challenge is to end the dictatorship. And we can end it if we exercise our ability to pay attention to detail. The referendum on the amended constitution will not be free, fair, and credible unless democratic reforms are implemented. We should not be conned by the opposition into believing we can win the referendum. If we had not participated in 2023 elections because we were conned, SADC would have denied ZANU-PF political legitimacy. Because SADC and the AU election observers know that that election was flawed. And they said so. But they could not act because millions of ordinary Zimbabweans participated in those flawed elections. This argument must be stated and restated between now and the referendum. This is where the political fight must take place. Zimbabwe has got the potential to become the South Korea of Africa. We have instead become the North Korea of Africa. A country in which the ruling elite are living in unparalleled luxury, whilst the overwhelming majority are living in abject poverty. We need to end this madness. And we can end it. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good day.